After spending the first part of my trip in Cape Breton Highlands National Park with some random guy I'll call Paul, I found myself back home. It was here I dropped him off and picked up Akane, who was going to be joining me for the second half of the trip. We realized that going in mid-September was just a tad too early to get the full fall colors we were hoping for. But once October turns, so does the temperature. We weren't ready to give up on summer, but we were ready to push through the cool days and cold nights we knew were ahead. To begin my time back in the park, we headed to a trail Paul and I couldn't complete the first time, le Chemin de Buttereau, French for Little Hill Path. We began the journey on this 4.6 kilometer or 2.9 mile hike, surrounded by the bright colors of the trees. It appeared waiting really paid off. Taking your time, you'll want to set aside about an hour and a half to hike this trail. Starting out steep, most of the trail is flat. In total, you'll gain about 45 meters or 135 feet of elevation gain. Like most trails within the national park, a trail isn't just a trail. This trail, for example, was once the only overland link between the town of Cheticamp and the isolated fishing villages here at Le Buttereau. Each step we took was once taken by horse. This cart path was first cleared in the 1700s. It had a lot of good use during its time, but once the residents moved out, the trail was largely forgotten until the 1930s when the Cabot Trail opened. Along this trail, you will see the former remains of a past life. Old fields turned woods, and old apple orchards overtaken by the growth of the landscape. In addition to these less noticeable markers, you'll have the chance to see several stone foundations like the one seen here. Okay, so we're at our very first house, so let's go in and see what we can see. Now, look at this. This is the first thing that stands out to me. Perhaps stairs, a walkway. You can see that this is definitely man-made. It's a big piece of concrete with pebbles all placed in to kind of create a textured welcome. Now, it looks like there was perhaps a staircase at one point, but the coolest thing is the stairwell further in. So come with me. It's a little steep getting in here, but I think you're going to like this. Look at that. If you weren't convinced there was a house here before, you're definitely convinced now. The staircase is perfectly intact. And these are the type of things that when we get to see them like this, I love it because it shows exactly what it was like here. You don't have to imagine. So based on what I see, this house is not very big. Remember, there was a mother, father, and 10 kids that lived here. This was one of the several homesteads seen. Along the path, you can see former dwellings of the Cheticamp, de Vaux, de Brun, and Leblanc families. The old well, located at the Cheticamp family homestead, is rich in history and memories. During this time, it was common for women to keep house and take care of the farm while the men were out fishing at sea. Each family in the area would help each other with tasks, including knitting, feeding the animals, and picking wild berries. Despite only 4 families living here, there were enough hands to go around, as each family had over 10 children. That's right, 50 kids in this tiny community. So this next house belonged to the DeVoe family, and I'm standing and I can almost reach from end to end, and they had 11 children that lived with them. It must have been a really packed house. Wrapping up our time on the trail, we headed back to the Cheticamp campground, the place where we based our adventures on the west side of the park. We were glad to be back in the Highlands. This was the perfect start to another series of hikes coming up. So why not join us and our online family of adventurers by subscribing to our channel? We would love to hear about and see your adventures as well. If you're simply looking for more information about this or other trails we've done, please find our travel guides on our website at joshuatravelguide.ca.